Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eric Coffin. I am at the November 2021 Metal Investors Forum. We're back to doing a live one after a year and a half of COVID. I'm here with the CEO of one of the companies that invited, Altaley Mining, ALTY on the venture, ATLYF in the US. Altaley is actually a producer already. They have a mine in Guerrero called Campo Morado. It's predominantly a zinc mine, but they do produce lead, and we'll go in a couple of minutes to how they may actually soon be producing a lot more gold and silver. They have a second mine called Tabawetto. That will be just starting ramp up, kind of probably right at the end of the year. And one thing that I want to get across, Ralph, I'm not sure people appreciate, I don't get the sense people appreciate just on base case, current prices, you're like a really big growth story in terms of what's going to happen next year in terms of your top line and your bottom line.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, Campo Morado, we're pulling in maybe $70 to $80 million in revenue this year is our predictions. Bringing Tabawetto on stream, once it's up at full capacity, should double that revenue.
Okay.
So that alone is a big jump. And then if you look at our potential ability to increase our precious metal recoveries and base metal recoveries at Campo Morado, that could bring in a lot more.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And do you know, I don't want to tie you down because you don't even know what the results are yet. You're in the middle of doing the testing. But let's say for the sake of argument, you get gold and silver. I mean, gold's like 20% right now, I think. Mm-hmm. Silver is like 40 or 50. If you can get the gold up to above 50, you can get the silver up another 20% or so. What does that do? I mean, you've got decent precious metal grades at Campo. The issue's just been getting them out and into Doré.
Exactly. And the precious metal grades in that deposit are quite good. 1.7 gold and 123 silver in a global resource. So as you know, only getting 20% of the gold and 40%, 50% of the silver, there's a lot of room for improvement there. So what will that do? It's really hard to put a number on it, but it's going to obviously really, really help.
Yeah. I mean, I've run through a few scenarios. It's tens of millions. But the other thing too is things have gone really well so far this year, Campo Morado. I think you guys are generating a couple million a month in cash flow. I mean, the issue, aside from low metal prices, obviously, what brought you guys back to life last year was this basically re-engineering of your whole debt package, bringing in some more equity. But with Campo going as well as it has been this year, I mean, Tabawetto is just going to be another add-on later, but this debt's probably going to get paid down probably more quickly than you thought it would when you put the package together.
No, that's very true. We have about probably 30 some odd million dollars worth of debt, and all our projections show that Tabawetto alone will pay it back within 2.5, maximum 3 years. Right. So now that Campo Morado is producing really well, we're going to accelerate that.
Okay.
So that's a really good situation for the company. It's a lot of growth ahead of us for the coming year and the year after that. And then where we see additional growth is just organic growth within the company to start exploration again. I believe we can take Tabawetto, we're going to produce at 1,000 tons per day. Next year, if we get drills turning again, I think we can bring in enough resources to double the size of that mine in a couple of years' time, and maybe triple it in 2 to 5 years.
Okay.
And it's just because of the knowledge I have of the exploration potential and the targets are there, we just haven't had any money to drill them, so we haven't been able to expand our resources to get there. But it's very achievable. Just get healthy, get the drills turning, and we'll be bringing in new resources and reserves for that project. Campo Morado, same thing. The exploration potential there is enormous. Lots of targets. The former owner, Nearstar, had spent a lot of money on exploration, and there's drill-ready targets, both property scale basis and within the existing mine workings. So we hope to bring in new massive sulfide zones once we get healthy enough to explore.
And in terms of the current capital base there, I realize this is up in the air partially because you're testing these new flotation systems, a new MET. But there is in fact, I guess a garden variety, if you want to use that word, flotation circuit that's just kind of sitting there right now, that if that ends up being the way that you go, the time and money is probably not that.
Well, it's 80% built, and that's a mechanical flotation circuit that was under construction with the former owners, was about 80% complete. All the grinding equipment, everything's there. So we just look at it, decide whether we would put that back into production or go the other way you're referring to, which is pneumatic flotation. If we put that back in production, it'll be low cost. It's already 80% built, so I don't know the figure because we have to get engineering brought up to date, but I would estimate between $5 million to $10 million maximum.
Right.
And that would be another 1,000 tons per day, so that would grow the size of our production by a third to 3,000 tons a day. So lots of potential to increase there as well. But I actually really think this project is going to go the way of pneumatic flotation.
Okay.
And that means replacing a lot of the existing flotation cells with pneumatic flotation cells. They're roughly $1 million a piece, and we might need 4 or 5 of them. So that's not a lot of capital cost either for a project like ours.
Okay.
So that could be really quickly achieved, and that I would foresee that maybe sometime mid next year,
Okay.
depending on the results of the metallurgical program, testing program that's underway.
Okay, and then essentially once you get the debt down enough and both mines are cash flowing, you'll get back to drilling again.
Yeah, well, sooner than that, I hope, because we obviously want to drill as soon as we can. And that just means getting cash flows going. And if we have enough money to service our debt and there's extra cash, we can drill off that. And we've always got the ability to do another little funding if we want to bring in some more capital.
And Tabawetto, I mean, both mines are underground. Tabawetto is underground. What's the situation right now with workings? Because I mean, obviously with an underground mine, growing production or maintaining it for that matter, it's a matter of having the workings and the stopes and the headings.
Lots of development. And so at Tabawetto, we're 80% complete on our development. We did a lot of development prior to where we are now. The mining contractors just moved on site, so they're going to be working the final part of the underground development to provide access to at least 6 different faces so we can feed the mill. We already have probably 2 or 3 months of ore stockpiled from the underground development before. So we're in good shape. We'll be able to feed the mill and really start moving the project forward.
Okay, it's a great story, folks. I mean, Campo Morato went from being a semi-disaster a couple of years ago. It's now generating a couple million a month in cash flow. Tabawetto, they'll start ramping production in a couple of months. As Ralph mentioned, next year, just steady state based on what's planned out. Revenues go up 100%. Cash flow is probably something similar. And what's the market cap now, about 100 million?
We're probably less than that. We're probably 80 to 100 million US right now.
So 80 to 100 million US. That's, significantly less than the top line revenues they're expecting next year. That's why this one is just, to me, this one's just obvious can be. That's why I own it. That's why you should take a very hard look at it. Thanks for presenting today. Thanks for coming to Minsk again, Ralph.
Thanks for the invite. It's been
Ralph Shearing, Altaley Mining, ALTY in Vancouver, ALTY F.